Welcome to Denver Sports Tonight, taking a look at the biggest stories in Denver sports. From your online home for the best opinions and information on the Broncos, Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, and more, DenverSports.com.
And it is Denver Sports Tonight on this Wednesday night in the Mile High City. He's Dante Gomez. I'm Will Peterson. We will roll with you for the next hour, as by this time tomorrow, I hope you're either in your seat at Empower Field at Mile High, at your favorite establishment with friends, or maybe just posted up on the couch. But yes, 24 hours from now, you'll have Al Michaels in your ears. Kirk Herbstreit, the whole Thursday Night Football crew, Amazon Prime will be in Denver. Richard Sherman will be here. Remember, he was throwing some shade at Russell Wilson the last time he was here for a Thursday Night Football game. But it's a big deal. It's a big deal. TNF gets everyone involved. You can bet the country will be watching Broncos and Raiders. Listen, I love the NBA and I love the NHL. No Avs or Nuggets tomorrow night, so that's nice. Nothing to conflict, but what are people going to watch? They're going to watch football, first and foremost. They're especially going to watch football when it's going up against the infancy of basketball and hockey, and the baseball playoffs are over. So the whole nation that is sports fans is going to be focused on Denver, Colorado tomorrow night, specifically in Power Field at Mile High. Broncos and Raiders, the 7-2 Broncos against the 2-6 Raiders. I want to start where we left the drive. Zach and I agreeing with each other. Nice change of pace. Ganging up on our guy Philip Lindsay a little bit that this is a trap game. Phil doesn't think it's a trap game because he doesn't think the Broncos are good enough to be trapped. Says things aren't clicking right now. I think it's human nature, Dante. When you see the Chiefs in 11 days, 10 come tomorrow, for one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game the Broncos have played in the last decade, I think this fits all the billing of a trap game for the Broncos. Easy spot to look ahead in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Broncos, you see the record by their name. You see, first in the division. You see, the hottest team in football, all of that kind of stuff. That, to me, just lends completely into this being a trap game for them. Thursday night game, short week, big spread. Usually teams don't cover those massive spreads on the short week of a Thursday. So I definitely see it as a trap game in terms of, I don't know if they're going to lose, but I think it'll be a lot closer than what people are expecting.
Yeah, 8.5 is a lot of points in the NFL, and that's where it's at.
9.5 is what I saw.
That's where it opened was 8.5, and now it's going the other direction. It's like, whoa, okay, I guess people are looking at that Broncos-Bengals Monday night game and saying, well, the last time they were in prime time against an inferior opponent, they beat them by 25, but I'm with you. Spread, no spread, I'm just worried about a win. I'm worried about a win because you can zap a lot of momentum and a lot of good that you've done this season with a loss tomorrow night. Because if you lose tomorrow night, you're 7-3. Kansas City sitting at home at 5-4. What are the Chiefs thinking? All we got to do is go to Denver. We get to 6-4. Broncos are 7-4. We close that thing to a half game within the division. That's what happens if you lose tomorrow night. Kansas City can win one football game and get within a half game in the AFC West. Other side of the coin, if you win and get to 8-2, you can go to 9-2 against the Chiefs and drop them to 5-5. Mathematically, that would not eliminate them, but it would be very close to a knockout blow. And we know the game against the Chiefs on the 16th is going to be a swing game either way, but it's an even bigger swing game if you take care of business against Vegas in 24 hours.
Yeah, I'm sure the Chiefs are looking at this like, hey, we control our own destiny. We still have 2 games against the team that we're looking up at in the division standings here. So I definitely think it'll be a good game with Chiefs-Broncos. But, the Broncos can't be looking ahead to that game because if I'm the Broncos, that's what I would be doing. I think that's natural instinct is to be like, hey, these are the top dogs of the division for, basically the last decade here. They are who we're trying to knock off. Raiders looked pretty decent last week, too. Lost in overtime to the Jaguars there, so that could have gone either way. Raiders are, a competent organization here at this point with Pete Carroll, Geno Smith, Ashton Genty. So I know they made, a trade there sending Jacoby Myers out, but I don't think, that makes a difference in terms of, the Raiders are dead now. They're, not going to win any more games the rest of the season.
Yeah, the Raiders are trying to get competent for sure. I'll give you that. When you hire Pete Carroll, that's a path towards competency.
Well, when I say competent, I mean they're not like a gimme game like the Jets are.
They're not a gimme game,
which
for
actually
sure.
didn't turn into be a gimme game.
But
yeah.
I still can't take Mark Davis and his haircut super duper seriously. Although they do have the GOAT as a part owner, Tom Brady. And you're right, with Carroll and Genty looks like a piece. Brock Bowers is maybe the top tight end in the NFL. Geno Smith's a veteran quarterback that's been around the block plenty of times. They're not very good, but they have guys who have won or guys who are superstars or going to be superstars. Top to bottom, their roster is nowhere near as good as Denver's. But you're right, this isn't dumpster fire territory, which there were times, frankly, when the Raiders were a dumpster fire. I think about kind of when the stadium was falling apart in Oakland, and you've worked with, we've both been lucky enough to work with a lot of former players who have like stories about that stadium, and what a dump it was. And now that they've gotten to Vegas, they've built a cathedral, they have Brady in the fold, they have Carroll, they've drafted decently well. They're a bad football team, but they're not an embarrassment of a bad football team. And I think, too, there's a pride factor for Vegas. There is. Pete Carroll isn't going to let a team roll over and die. That's just not how that guy's wired. Who was the coach? Antonio Pierce?
He was the coach before this.
Yeah, good dude. And he had him playing well for a little stretch there, and people are like, hey, maybe Pierce is the answer. But Pierce doesn't have the cachet in the league that Pete Carroll does. Like, players are, put it this way, I don't think the Raiders players are doing 1, 2, 3 Cancun. At least not quite yet. Maybe a month from now they are, but I don't think they are right now. I think they're flying into Denver. They're probably landing as we speak. I think they're here to play a football game and try to play a competitive football game.
Yes, no, I completely agree. I think Pete Carroll's going to have these guys ready to play. A lot of veterans in that locker room. Very talented tight end, Brock Bowers. You were talking about. We had James Palmer on the show yesterday on the drive, and he was saying, Brock Bowers might go for 20 targets tomorrow. That's how much they're going to use him, especially with the absence of Jacoby Myers getting traded there too. So because Myers was their pseudo number one receiver, which you don't really want him to be your number one receiver, but losing a number one receiver still will hurt the offensive flow there. But I mean, Genty's still a rookie; he's out to prove himself. Bowers is young; he's out to prove himself. Their other tight end, Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, I think he's in second or third year. He's still out to prove himself. So I'm with you. They're not ready to roll over and die. They're not thinking about the offseason quite yet. They're still alive, trying to, put some wins on the board here. And, maybe a month from now, that's a different story. But, yeah, for now, I would take this Raiders team seriously.
Yeah, and such is life in the NFL. The big victories for the Broncos can only be celebrated for so long before the next task awaits, because this is a sped-up week, thanks to the league always craving the spotlight. And Denver can't get trapped by looking ahead, sort of the root of this conversation, a trap game. I mean, let's not have spooky season from Halloween creep into Empower Field at Mile High tomorrow night, because, again, everyone knows what's coming 10 days after, and you can bet the players and coaches do as well. It's a date with the Chiefs. They can say, what was Sean doing with London? Oh, we don't talk about the L word. We don't talk about the L word. Is he doing, we don't talk about the K word. We don't talk about Kansas City. These guys have flip phones. Excuse me, not flip phones. Smartphones. Maybe some have flip phones. These guys have calendars. They know that Jim Nantz and Tony Romo and Tracy Wolfson are coming here for a huge, huge, huge showdown. The biggest NFL game 90% of this roster has ever played in the following Sunday. They can't just roll out of bed tomorrow and go, well, I just can't wait to get to the Chiefs game. That's not going to work. That's how you're going to find yourself in a 16-13 game in the fourth quarter, and it's going to be nervous time. I just hope that's not the case.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm already looking forward to the Chiefs game, and I'm not in that locker room, so I got to imagine they're doing the exact same thing. But I am very excited for the Chiefs game. I think that's going to be incredible. Chiefs losing last week to the Bills only is going to add a little fuel to the fire. Chiefs, I believe, have a bye this weekend too. So
they do. They're on their couch just sitting, and Andy Reid's very good after byes.
And that's what I was just about to say. That Andy Reid is great after a bye week. So I'm expecting a very good version of the Chiefs when they come here. Yeah, when they come here 10 days from now too. So if I'm that excited, I'm sure all those players are too. But yeah, you got to take it seriously against the Raiders here. So I think they will, but even if they do take it seriously and play a great game, I don't know if that means they're blowing them out. I don't know if that means we're getting, Jarrett Stidham snaps in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we get Stiddy time. That would be a good thing for sure. Speaking of not looking ahead, the Broncos only had one day of media this week, and it was yesterday. Normally today's the day we hear from Sean and Bo and Cortland and PS2 when he's healthy. But Thursday night week, everything is condensed. So one day of media, it was Tuesday. Played you the bite last night from Bo Nix about the trade deadline. We had that conversation plenty. We're not going to rehash it. But there was plenty of other good stuff from Bo, including on how you keep your focus and don't look ahead.
Well, I think, we've heard a lot about the win streak, but we're not even really thinking about that because we have so many things that we want to correct, and we feel like we haven't even played a complete game offensively, much less, as a team. And so, I think once we start doing that, then we got to be careful about being too lax. But until then, guys we're all in a growth mindset, and we're worried about the things that we can fix. And because there's several of them from each position that we're trying to focus on. And, until we're, hitting all the ones that we need to hit, I don't think we're going to be able to be relaxed because we have a lot of guys that are competitive. We don't have a bunch of front runners, and, we just got a locker room full of guys that are trying to race to improve and improve faster than everybody else in the league.
I mean, I love it. He says they're not going to relax, race to improve, better than everyone else in the league. And yeah, we've heard a lot about the win streak, but we can't really revel in the win streak because we know we have so much to clean up. Get right games are tough in the NFL because, as Sean likes to say, we're not playing a Division III school, directional school, whatever. We're still playing an NFL team, but it does feel like if you're the Broncos, not only do you need to win this to keep your momentum going, that's obvious, but you can fix a lot of things so that you feel confident going into the Chiefs game. And Bo wasn't going to say that yesterday. He wasn't going to say, well, we're excited to try to hang 40 on the Raiders so we can get our confidence back up like we had after the Cowboys game. But I thought that answer was pretty insightful. And we always say at the podium, do you believe him? Do you not? I actually believe Bo Nix that he's like, we're not thinking about a 6-game win streak. We're thinking about what needs to get better.
Yeah, and I agree with Bo Nix. The first time I'm hearing about, putting up 40 points, is that something you're expecting against this Raiders team? You don't really see that a lot on Thursday night games. It's usually a fairly condensed game plan because it's just such a short week. You don't really get to practice and install anything during the days in between there. So usually it's just kind of a, win at all costs, win, get by, maybe get up by 10 and then run the ball, slow the game down. Less possessions is better at that point. Are you expecting this offense to, try new things and, try to see that get right on the offense?
No, I'm not expecting 40. That's not a number that I think is realistic for the Broncos. I think 40 just popped in my head because that's what you did to Dallas just a couple weeks ago was 44. So, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, Dante. If the first number is a 3, tomorrow night I'll be dancing in my living room. I mean, you get to 30 on a Thursday night game, to your point. It feels like these games, especially as the season goes on and the wear and tear on the body, the quality goes down, feels like a lot of these Thursday games are 20-17, 17-14, somewhere in that ballpark. If they even can get to 30 tomorrow night, I would consider that a big win for this Denver offense.
Yeah, I would agree on that. I think 30 is the magic number in terms of not what they need to get to win, but in terms of me feeling confident about the offense moving forward here. I think 30 would be a good number. I want to say they're like the betting number. I want to say it's either like 26.5, 27.5. So they're kind of right about there in terms of what they're expecting from this Broncos team.
And how many, I'll look it up. I'm curious how many they scored in New Orleans last year on a Thursday night. Because we know in Sean's return that turned into a laugher, and Sean went on the Thursday night desk and talked about being back home and all that. The Broncos did win that game 33-10. So I think they scored on defense that night, if I remember correctly. I think Cody Barton may have scored for the Broncos in that game. Throwback, he plays for the Titans now. But long story short, they blew the Saints out and still barely got over 30, got to 33 last year. So that would be a nice number for them. The 3072 on the RamaSaw.com text line, 303-713-1043, says the Raiders defense was on the field for over 42 minutes on Sunday. Short week, we better run the ball all night. That actually came from Bo, and he spells his name B-O.
You think that's number 10?
You think he's texting us that we better run the ball all night?
I think he might be. I have no reason to believe it's not Bo Nix.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and say maybe it's Bo Nix, but he didn't say we should pass it all night. One of Bo's recent texts, looks like he texted the morning show yesterday, was thoughts on trading for Taysom Hill. So maybe Bo Nix wants Taysom Hill. I don't know. I don't think it's Bo Nix. We're just having fun. But do appreciate the text, Bo, and I actually think it's a good point. The Raiders defense played a ton of football against the Jaguars, and he's probably not going to do it, but he probably should. Run it on your play sheet, Sean. This Raiders defense is going to be exhausted.
I think he might write it on his play sheet. You want to take a bet on it?
Well, what game did he do it in again earlier this year? I remember Zach tweeted it out.
Oh, he did do it. He did on the Chargers Thursday night game.
Well, that was the famous one last year.
They flexed into it last year.
And then he did it again this year, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, run it is back. Zach would know the answer to that. But I think Bo's point is well taken. The problem is I do feel like a little bit of a broken record. Oh, just hand the ball to JK. Hand the ball to JK. Is Sean actually going to hand the ball to JK? We all saw the splits at halftime against the Texans. I mean, JK got the ball, 3 times on the first drive and then didn't carry it the rest of the first half, or maybe carried it 1 time. I don't know, but if you're ever going to stick with the run, this is a game to do it. Yeah,
and I think it's a chance to get RJ Harvey mixed into the run game too, especially versus we'll call it I know we were just talking about, can't take him lightly, can't use it as a trap game, but a lesser than opponent still, I think that's fair to say in the Raiders. I think that's a good opportunity to get RJ Harvey more in the mix. So while you're still running it heavily, maybe it's not all on Dobbins. Maybe you're not giving him 18, 20 carries. Maybe it's his normal load of, 14 to 15, but then Harvey gets, another 8 to 10 on top of that.
Interesting text here from the 1361 says, outside of the Titans game and the first 3 quarters of the Giants game, the offense has been solid at home. I appreciate the text, but how many times have they played it in Power Field at Mile High this year? 4. And the texter cites 2 of the 4 games of when they weren't good on offense. So yes, I agree with the texter that against Cincinnati, outside of the first quarter against the Bengals, they had a nice game on Monday Night Football. And then we know Dallas was their most complete game of the year, but they've only played 4 home games. And 2 of the 4 home games, the offense hasn't looked very good. Titans, if that game could be washed from my memory, I'm glad they got a win. It would. And then Giants, we all know what happened. The first 3 quarters were terrible, and the fourth was one we will never forget. So I like the optimism texture. The problem is the sample size just isn't that big. Only 5 games, or tomorrow night will be the 5th game at Empower Field at Mile High. Did you see the injury report today, Dante?
I saw Marvin Mims, if that's what you're referring to.
So we got it, and it's funny because the Broncos did a walkthrough, and so therefore the report is an estimation. But because the league makes them release it, they have to release it. And not only do you just have to estimate what guys did, you got to do game statuses. And the game status for Marvin Mims, even though he was an estimated limited in the walkthrough today, is out. Marvin Mims will not play tomorrow night. Pat Surtain II is also out. No surprise there. And then Nate Atkins, the tight end, out as well. PJ Locke is questionable. It's concussion protocol, so it's kind of dicey. It's not really up to Mims necessarily. He's got to get cleared through the protocol by the Broncos ruling him out. It tells me he hasn't been cleared yet. So I can't sit here and go, well, I wish Mims would play because it may just be out of his hands. The doctors may not have just cleared him, but there's no doubt when he got to limited yesterday, I think a lot of folks were hoping he was going to play. When this dropped around 3 o'clock today, it was, Marvin Mims is indeed out. What's your concern-o-meter on that?
I assume it is because of the concussion and that he hasn't cleared protocol yet. I don't think it's the biggest deal in the world against the Raiders.
Did you watch Michael Bandy try to field punts?
Oh, my. It was one bad punt, Will.
Very bad.
Okay, it was one time, and it was one of those where it's the end of the quarter, you're probably trying to make a play so you can get a field goal off there. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Well, Raheem Moore had one bad play on the Flacco fling.
Well, yeah, I think
it can't happen. It can't happen.
I get that it can't happen and that you got to be smarter, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on the one play. Also, I'm going to differentiate, week 9 in Houston against, the AFC divisional round there. Or
the Raheem Moore game?
Yeah, was that conference championship or divisional?
No, it's divisional.
Divisional round. So I'm gonna differentiate those two situations as well. I trust Michael Bandy out there. I think he'll be fine. So I think he had a great catch on that 3rd down to pick up a first down against the Texans as well. So I got trust in him. And football is one of those weird ones where you can't really recreate that experience of in-game, on the field, live bullets flying. You got to just go out there and do it. So I think that was maybe what last week was for Bandy, and it'll be much more cleaned up this week. Another thing I want to touch on that you were talking about, you were saying Pat Surtain out. No surprise there. Mm-hmm. I was a little surprised, not that he's out, but that there was it felt like there was a 0% chance of him playing this week, because after the injury, it kind of felt like, maybe it'll be the Raiders game, maybe it'll be the Chiefs game, but at this point it feels like hopefully it's the Chiefs game. Do you have any worry about his availability for 10 days from now?
Yeah, I do, definitely, because he was a DNP all 3 days this week. So they didn't even get him to a limited estimation. So you're right, it wasn't ever even a consideration for Pat to play in this football game. Now, on the bright side, what happened last Saturday? IR things were due, and the Broncos did not put Pat Surtain on IR. So if he was going to miss 4 games, you would have to put him on IR. This will be his 2nd game he's missed. The key in all this is they do have that bye after the Chiefs game. So I assume that they think he's going to play on the 30th against the Commanders, right? Because that would be the fourth game. But misses Houston, misses Vegas. We know that now for sure. The Chiefs one is going to be the coin flip one. Put it this way. When we're doing this show next week, we'll have our first injury report for the Chiefs game. We will be monitoring PS2 status very closely. Not surprised he's not playing, but I agree 1 week from now, that's 100% the injury that everyone's going to be watching.
Yeah. I would love to have him in that Chiefs game. I think that would make the game a lot more exciting. As we've talked about, the Chiefs are great coming off a bye week, so it's going to be a very good version of themselves. They have Rashee Rice coming back a couple weeks ago for them too, so I think Surtain will be needed in that kind of game. So I think it's a smart move, though. Give him the full 2 weeks off here, and hopefully he can join back with the Broncos. Practicing. Maybe, Monday of next week.
Yeah, Monday will be back in the building. They won't have to designate a status for him, but come next Wednesday, we'll have our first glimpse into that. But there's good news. You bring up PS2. Well, on Monday, the Broncos had to drop an injury report this week because they played Thursday. And some alarm bells went off on that injury report because both Riley Moss and Brandon Jones were estimated as DNPs. And we're like, oh, you already don't have Surtain. Now Moss is banged up. Now Jones is banged up. The good news on this injury report today is both Moss and Jones estimated as full and off the injury report. They're good to go. So even though this Broncos injury report is long, we're used to 3, 4, 5 names on a Broncos injury report. This thing's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 names on it. Only 4 guys have game statuses. Atkins, Surtain, and Mims are out. PJ Locke's questionable. But Brandon Jones being good to go, Riley Moss being good to go, that's huge. Because, yes, we know the Raiders just traded Jacoby Myers, but you can't go into a Thursday night game without the number 1 corner in the NFL, without Moss, without Jones. I am thankful that your number 2 corner, at least on paper, and your number 2 safety are both good to go against Vegas tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think we saw a better version of Moss last week than what we've seen. But you're the one that wanted to bench Riley Moss. You wanted him cut outright, and now you're thankful that he's playing.
Now you're just putting words in my mouth. Never said bench, never said cut. Said he wasn't as good as some made-up numbers about how he has the best cover route in the league or whatever. He's just not. I mean, they put Jahdae Barrett on the outside some last week. That was encouraging to me. You spent a first-round pick on this dude. I think in a perfect world, when PS2 gets back, a lot of your packages on defense have PS2 on one side, Jahdae on the other, Jaquan in the slot, and Riley Moss is a rotational player. That would be my goal. Now, is it going to happen this year? I don't think so. Because I think it's too late in the season to make that major of a personnel change. But Riley Moss is a fine player. He's an NFL player. I don't think he's a number 2 corner in this league, especially when he has to go opposite PS2.
I'm gonna respectfully disagree. I think he can be a number 2 on a Super Bowl winning team. A number 2 cornerback. So
he's Chris Harris Jr. or Aqib Talib?
I mean,
those guys were number 2s on a Super Bowl winning team.
Yeah, you're choosing like the best number 2 corners to win a Super Bowl. You're being very selective in that process there. No, I think he can be a number 2 the defense has never been a question mark. As far as this season's gone, really, I don't see why we have to start questioning it now, even though Moss is a part of that. I'm good with the defense as it is and Moss in the role that he was playing.
Well, but hold on. We can't say they're perfect. There are 2 weak links on this Denver defense. There just are. And their names are Alex Singleton and Riley Moss. Those are the guys that week in and week out, it feels like we're watching and going, oh, another guy just burned Singleton down the middle, or, oh, there's a PI flag on Riley Moss 25 yards down the field. This defense is excellent, but that doesn't mean they're perfect, does it?
No, I didn't say perfect. And, it's the NFL. You're not going to, throw a shutout every single weekend. That's just not how it works. The other team is going to move the ball. They're going to get first downs. They're going to score points. So, yes, does it come at the hands of Riley Moss or Alex Singleton more than some of the other guys? Yes, I would agree with that part of it, but there's got to be some weak link. It's not just going to be 11 all-pro guys out there every Sunday for the Broncos.
Yeah, well, that Super Bowl 50 defense felt like 11 all-pros, but
it feels like you're being greedy.
Well, a lot of people want to compare the two. I mean, a lot of people want to compare this defense to the Super Bowl 50 defense. And Danny Trevathan and Brandon Marshall are a hell of a lot better than Alex Singleton. And Aqib Talib and Chris Harris Jr. and Bradley Roby are a hell of a lot better than Riley Moss. That's where the weakness would be. To me, I do have a question for you, though. Greenlaw is getting more and more healthy, right? Played more snaps last week, was really good on that goal line stand. Felt like his head was in there every time. Once Greenlaw's full and the training wheels are off, if you will, because he's healthy. are your starting inside linebackers Dre Greenlaw and Justin Strnad? Because that's the change I would make.
That's probably where I would go to. I think Singleton at that point becomes more of a rotational guy, depth piece. I'd rather have, Strnad's shown that he's pretty good in coverage, and then Greenlaw's, has a long track record. We saw it last weekend of being great in the run game. So you have to have Greenlaw out there. And then I think Strnad just adds an extra element as far as coverage that Singleton doesn't.
All right. Will the Broncos get off to a faster start tomorrow night? That, of course, is the million-dollar question. Their first three-quarter differential is not good. Their fourth quarter differential is excellent, and Sean Payton spoke on it. You'll hear about it next.
Can Bo Nix escape Mad Max Crosby? How should Vance Joseph defend against Brock Bowers? Zach By and Philip Lindsay will break it all down in a special Thursday night edition of the Fan Football Pregame Show, live on game day from Mile High Station. Presented by Modelo. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Join Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan in Modelo at Mile High Station on Thursday, November 6th from 4 to 6:15 p.m. for the Fan Football Pregame Show. Get your head in the game with orange and blue face painting and ice-cold Modelo. Modelo, brewed for full-time fans.
Colorado's favorite appliance store is celebrating huge savings during our Black Friday sale going on now. Hi, I'm Brad Barnett, president of Mountain High Appliance. Craft your dream kitchen and save up to $4,400 on select KitchenAid appliance packages. Enjoy a special financing and our price match guarantee with exclusive offers you won't find at big box stores. Visit us today and experience the difference. When you think appliances, think Mountain High Appliance.
Mountain High Appliance, your favorite appliance store.
Thank you.
Cool nights are here and winter is on the way. Protect your home with the strength and beauty of Infinity by Marvin Windows from Gravina's Window Center of Littleton. This month only, save 25% on windows and 20% on James Hardy siding. With flexible financing, no interest options, and zero down. Upgrading has never been easier. Call today at 303-794-0490 or go to windowsforyourhome.com. Gravina's Window Center of Littleton, trusted by Colorado families for over 50 years.
If you're considering sedation dentistry and want to learn more about it, Clarkson Dental can help. When it comes to your health, you want to make sure you know all the details. The highly trained professionals at Clarkson Dental have your answers. Learn more at coloradosedation.com.
It matters who your lawyer is. At Berg Simpson, we truly care about the quality of work we do, that fair compensation is given, and that our clients are getting the best possible representation. We're proud of that, and it shows.
If you've been injured, call Berg Simpson for free now at 303-790-2525. 303-790-2525. BergSimpson.com. Good lawyers changing lives. It's not just a slogan, it's who we are.
Hi, I'm Terrell Davis, two-time world champion and Pro Football Hall of Famer. There is nothing more important than your health. That's why I made the smart move to invest in fitness equipment with Fitness Gallery. It's a game changer. I have a true treadmill at home. It's the smoothest and quietest I've ever been on.
Football is here, and Fitness Gallery's fall football sale is your playbook for a winning home gym. Save up to 50% off on select premium equipment. Visit any of our 7 stores from Denver to Fort Collins and score big before the sale ends.
Another summer is ended, and you may have noticed that your energy is lower, your workouts aren't as productive, perhaps you aren't sleeping as well and feel foggy all the time, maybe even your sex drive is off. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if you're experiencing some or all of these symptoms, it's likely you have low testosterone. And if that's what's going on with you, don't wait. You need to call us at Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic and get treated for your low T, because living with low testosterone is no way to live. With our low T treatments, if you're like most guys, your life will change considerably. Improved sleep, better energy, greater gains in the gym, better mental clarity, and your sex drive will likely improve as well. Plus, most men see these results in just a few weeks. So call us. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes PSA and T-test and a medical consult. And if you start on testosterone the day of your appointment, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. We have 5 offices across the Front Range to serve you.
The wait is over. AC/DC's back live. Power Up Tour, July 28th. Empower Field at Mile High. Tickets on sale Friday at 12 noon at Ticketmaster.com. July 28th, Empower Field at Mile High. Don't miss AC/DC.
Brandon Stokely here from my team, ROX, Rocks Heating and Air. Are you ready for winter? Worries you might need a new furnace? Don't know where to begin? Rocks Heating and Air makes it incredibly easy with their new, free, no obligation online heating and cooling quote. It takes less than 5 minutes and gives you options instantly. No calls, no waiting, and transparent pricing. Only at ROX, Rocks Heating and Air. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX, Rocks Heating and Air.
Do you want the lowest rate for life? Get our 4.75 5-year fixed. APR is 5.89.
Did you say 4.75% fixed for 5 years?
Yes.
Yeah, I want that, but what if rates fall?
Our lowest rate for life program takes over. If rates fall even as little as 0.5%, we can redo your loan with no lender fees and no appraisal fee and no limits to the number of times used. Only at U.S. Mortgages. Call 303-LOW-RATE or online at usmloan.com.
All loans subject to approval and change. See website for complete details. License number 392126.
This segment on 104.3 The Fan's brought to you by Fitness Gallery, selling the world's finest fitness equipment.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan.
All right, so the Broncos' fourth quarter point differential this season is plus 60. The next closest teams at plus 37 are the Panthers and the Jets. Plus 60 in the fourth quarter. Across the first 3 quarters, the 2025 Broncos are -1. Think about that. 7-2 football team in the first 3 quarters of the game. It's even. Almost dead even. -1. One lousy point through, what's that, 9 times 3, 27 quarters of football. But then in that fourth quarter, plus 60. 5th best fourth quarter point differential this century. 2025 Broncos are behind the 2015 Texans, 09 Saints, and weirdly enough, 2 more Broncos seasons, 2012 and 2016. Just nuts how good they've been in the fourth quarter, and frankly, how pedestrian they've been in the first 3 quarters. Dante, are you a glass half full or glass half empty guy on those stats? Half full being, well, they're 7-2 and they find a way to turn it on. Half empty going, I'm not so sure this is sustainable, particularly in a playoff game. If you're down a touchdown or 2, that you're going to be able to pull off a comeback.
In general, I'm a glass half full kind of guy, but with those stats, I think I'm going to go glass half empty. You got to be better in the first 3 quarters. You can't be having a coin toss in the first 3 quarters of these games. You're not going to always be able to rely on these fourth quarter theatrics to go on and win a game. It's not like the Broncos' schedule has been terribly hard either. So you're doing it against a lot of teams that aren't even going to make the playoffs here. When you go up against better competition, you need to be even in these games. You can't fall behind. We see it all the time, especially on a, we all say it here in Denver, that this team needs the run game to be successful. And when you're behind in games like that, you're not able to run the ball like you would like to.
Yeah, and running the ball is going to be a priority against the Raiders, as we outlined in the first segment. And Sean Payton was asked yesterday, and I thought it was a good question from our friend Troy Rank, does he sleep easy because they've had so much fourth quarter success, or does he have struggles sleeping because of the way the first 3 quarters have gone?
I don't think the focus obviously in starting fast, Dallas, for instance, but I think the key is just understanding how we win this game. What keeps you up is what's ahead. What keeps you up is, here's a short week. Am I going to get enough look at the red zone? Before practice, short yardage. Last night, normally we would start on our base and then work all day the next day on it. Last night, this is Monday, we did base and then moved on to 3rd down and 2 a.m. And so when I get home to sleep, I sleep good because it's late. And then today, goal line, short yardage, red zone, that's tonight. And then now this year we don't travel. And then we got to be smart about the install.
When I get home late, I sleep good because it's late. Okay, wise words from Sean Payton, putting in the long hours down there at Broncos Park, powered by Common Spirit. But he did mention at the beginning of that answer, fast starts, cited the Dallas game, and fast starts have been a theme this entire season. We get it every week. Can you start fast? Can you do this? Well, they certainly didn't start fast in Houston. 7 points through 3 quarters down there. That first quarter, hard to watch. Their only real threat, Will Lutz gets his field goal blocked. Is this one of those games against Vegas where you feel like a fast start is paramount? Not because win or loss necessarily, right? Like I think the Broncos could get off to a crappy start tomorrow night and still win the game because I just think the opponent isn't that good. But is it paramount in the sense of, hey, at least if you do that, then you can point to, hey, 2 of our last 3 games, we have had a fast start. We've come out of the gate quickly. Maybe we can start to build some momentum and chalk up what happened against Houston as, oh, we were playing one of the best defenses in the league.
Well, I'm going to start off with saying I agree with you that even if they do get down in this game or if it's even into the third quarter, this team is capable of coming, back if they are down or, scoring a lot of points late in the game. So definitely not in terms of win or loss this weekend. I'm not going to put a lot of importance on, first quarter scoring, but I don't know how transferable it is. If they come out and score a bunch of points in the first, half here, are we going to be like, oh, well, that's it. They're going to, go out and beat the Chiefs the following week. I don't think that really transfers very much in my brain, at least. Yeah, it would be nice just, confidence-wise and to be able to, put some facts behind what we want to say about how great this Broncos team is and to have, points of like, look at what they did against the Raiders. Look at what they did against the Cowboys. But I don't know if that is necessarily going to, change anything in my brain as far as when they go up against better competition in the Chiefs.
Yeah, but I'm not even saying our brains necessarily. I'm talking about the guys in the room sort of instilling confidence that if you can go back and say, okay, 2 of the last 3 games we have started fast. That's why I actually do think it's important tomorrow night because it's not going to determine whether they win or lose. I mean, we both know they could be down 10-3 going into the fourth quarter and win 17-10. We've seen that movie plenty of times this year. But just going into the Kansas City game feeling like we have found a way to come out of the gate quickly, at some point you got to do that. You're not winning a Super Bowl unless you can put some points up in the first or second quarter. It's just probably not going to happen.
Yeah, you have to be able to have that skill and just get ahead of teams. And they are such a good run team that if you are ahead in these games, you're able to run the ball, you're able to use the play action, and that's when Sean Payton can get real creative with his play calling when you have that 10-point lead or 2-possession lead, whatever it may be. So I think it's important in terms of games they're going to have in the future against better competition, against the Packers, against the Chiefs, against the Chargers when they place them again. The future playoff game that they're going to have here too. So I think it's important in those games, but I don't know how much even that locker room knows that the Raiders are a lesser opponent. I don't think they're going to be able to, in the Chiefs game be like, hey, remember last week when we did this against the Raiders? I don't think that's what they're going to be saying in the locker room.
Yeah, but confidence instills or belief and evidence instills confidence at a certain point in time, right?
I think
like if you're a little kid and you're trying to ride a bike, you fall, and then you go out 2 or 3 times in a row and you ride your bike and you don't fall, you're pretty sure you know how to ride a bike.
Yes, I would agree with that, but I think what we've seen in the fourth quarter from this team, they already have the belief that, hey, we can get hot like a microwave. We can go out there and score a bunch of points quickly. Yeah, it hasn't been early in the games, but the fact they're able to do it in the fourth quarter, there's no real reason that you can't transfer that to do it in the first, second quarter. It's just that they haven't done it.
Yeah, and I've made this comparison before, though, and people get mad at me. I'm not comparing the 2 quarterbacks, but the more this season goes on, the more it feels kind of Tebow-y. It just does. And what happened with Tim Tebow's lone season as the starting quarterback with the Broncos? He had miracle win after miracle win after miracle win. And it was awesome. Don't get me wrong. Tebow Mania was one of my favorite seasons in Broncos history. Then he gets to the playoffs, and what happens? He has another miracle win. One of the most famous plays in Denver Broncos history, Tim Tebow to the late, great Demaryius Thomas, 80 yards against the Steelers, walk-off touchdown. No one ever talks about what happened the following week. They went to Foxborough, played Tom Brady, and got smacked. Final score was like 45-7 or something like that. And I don't think this Broncos team is ever going to lose 45-7 in the playoffs because I think this defense is too good. But even Tebow, with all his pixie dust, that ran out at some point in time. So while I like you saying, well, this locker room knows they can microwave and get hot and just play a good fourth quarter, some point, and the calendar now reads November, so it kind of is that point. Offense has got to do it in a more believable way for playoff games that they frankly haven't accomplished outside of the Cowboys.
Yeah, but do you see? I don't see as much of a similarity between this team and that Tebow team as far as like the pixie dust goes. Yeah, in that Giants game, maybe specifically there, I do see it, but I think this team has a lot more substance to the offense. I think they have a legit run game, a top probably 3, definitely top 5 run game in the NFL. I think Bo Nix can be a top, let's go 15 to 20 quarterback. I think Cortland Sutton's a real weapon. Not that, I'm not saying Demaryius Thomas wasn't or anything like that, but I think this team just has more substance to it offensively. So I don't see too many similarities between, the pixie dust you're talking about.
Fair enough. But what did Tebow like to do? Go 3 and out. What's Bo done a lot this year? Go 3 and out.
So my question for you then in return is, do you think this offense needs their back against the wall to perform well?
Kind of feels that way. Doesn't it feel like Helter Skelter is more appropriate for this team? That they sort of have that internal alarm clock of we got to wake up. They're the offense right now that's hitting the snooze button 4 times. And they know if they hit it a 5th, they're going to be late to work and they're going to get fired. So they don't hit it a 5th, they get in the shower and the boss doesn't yell at them. That doesn't mean they don't roll in at 6:59 a.m. with wet hair, though, because that's how this Broncos offense is operating at this moment. And yes, it's fun. We are all fans. The Broncos have played a lot of really fun games this year. They're 7-2. But to answer your question, I would say yes, that they do need adversity to function. And what did Tim Tebow need to function? Adversity. That's where the similarities come into play to me. How about you?
Well, as a fellow, alarm clock snoozer myself, I'm okay with it. I think that it's in there somewhere, and that's what matters. That's what matters the most, is the fact that they are able to move the ball at certain points of the game. Yeah, it would be great if they could do it the entirety of the game, do it in the first half, whatever. But the NFL is built for close games, comeback wins in the fourth quarter. We see that, every single Sunday of the season. So I think the Broncos have a little bit of that where, yeah, they're going to come back in these games, but that's kind of what the NFL is. So if we see the Giants version of this team multiple weeks in the next month here, then I would be a little more concerned. But it doesn't feel like they're relying on fourth quarter magic all that often. I think that Texans game was pretty even throughout the whole game. I wouldn't chalk that up to this miraculous comeback win we saw last Sunday.
No, I wouldn't either, but they were still down 15-7 and won 18-15. I mean, they still won the fourth quarter 11-0 to get the job done. So 1 touchdown through 3 quarters isn't going to do it in a playoff game. Most likely not, unless your defense plays out of its mind. All right, can't wait. Broncos and Raiders here in less than 24 hours. But coming up next, the Avalanche had a big win last night against the Lightning, and the Nuggets will face the Heat in about a half hour at Ball Arena. We will touch on both before we're out of here.
The Fan Flyaway is back, presented by 303 Law 4040. Save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. To kick off 2026, Denver Sports 1043 The Fan is sending you to Phoenix for the biggest party in golf. Airfare, hotel tickets, and $500 in spending money all included. Head to thefanflyaway.com to register. That's thefanflyaway.com. Denver Sports 1043 The Fan.
Roberto Coin is passion.
Roberto Coin is art.
Roberto Coin is love.
And Roberto Coin is right where you'd expect to find it. Williams Jewelers of Inglewood. I'm Dylan Williams.
And I'm Dylan's sister Shayna, inviting you to our exciting Roberto Coin Holiday Trunk Show Friday and Saturday, November 7th and 8th.
This holiday, give her the iconic fashion, the wearable Italian artistry of the incomparable Roberto Coin.
Handcrafted in Vicenza, Italy, these gorgeous 18-karat earrings, necklaces, bracelets, and rings have made Roberto Coin the #1 Italian jewelry designer in the world.
And this holiday, Roberto Coin jewelry starts at under $750.
So come find your passion and the perfect gift.
The Roberto Coin Holiday Trunk Show, Friday and Saturday, November 7th and 8th at Williams Jewelers of Inglewood.
Where Colorado shines.
Williams Jewelers, we can make diamonds a part of your life.
On the corner of Bellevue and Broadway, where Colorado shines.
So my mother is thinking of switching from Verizon to Pure Talk, but she's worried the deal sounds too good to be true. Michael, she said, how can those Pure Talk people offer me the same basic service as Verizon for so much less money? I said, Ma, go ask Google how much Verizon spends on advertising and promotions. A few seconds later, my mother said, Oh my goodness, $12 billion a year? That must be a typo. I'll tell you what I told my mom. It's not a typo. Verizon spends $12 billion a year on advertising and promotions, and their customers are paying for it. Well, Pure Talk doesn't spend that kind of money on commercials. Trust me, I would know. That's why they can offer you and my mother unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data on a crazy fast 5G network for just $25 a month. And if you're a business owner, you could really save a fortune. Dial pound 250, say the words Mike Rowe, and you'll get an additional 50% off your first month. That's pound 250 Mike Rowe. Pure Talk. Everything you need and nothing you don't.
Gobble, 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 gobble. Oh, man, I do a terrible turkey impersonation. Hey, everybody, Dan Jacobs from Jacobs Law on 303 Law 4040. Those of you that listen to the Dan Jacobs Show know that I just love the holidays. But I also know these holidays in particular can be really tough on a lot of people, whether it's the government shutdown, inflation, the economy, whatever it is, or some people just have a hard time during the holidays as it is every single year. It's just a hard time of year for them. As always, we want to be here for you. If we can help out with a little bit of that with free food and groceries, we would love to have you any first or third Thursday of the month. Come on out to Eastern Hills Church at Smoky Hill and Arapahoe Road. We're even doing smoked ham and turkey this month in honor of Thanksgiving. So if you need it, anybody, no questions asked. You just pull up and pop the trunk. 4 to 6 p.m., Eastern Hills Community Church, every first and third Thursday, Smoky Hill and Arapahoe Road.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
A blown left headlight is making Erica's drive to her son's soccer game darker and darker. So she goes to AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
Where a friendly AutoZoner finds her 2 new bulbs.
These lights have the most clarity.
And helps her get back on the road so she can brighten her drive and the cheering section.
All right, all right.
See clearer and drive safer with new lights. No hassles, just help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or play stop, opt out. Terms and conditions apply to the earnings promotion.
Do you have caregiving experience as a parent, teacher, nanny, coach, or in another similar role? Hop Skip Drive is looking for experienced caregivers who want to help students in their community by driving them to and from school. Earn up to $50 per ride with Hop Skip Drive's welcome promotion, all while helping your community. If you have your own vehicle that is no more than 10 years old, a clean driving record, and at least 5 years of caregiving experience, you could become a Hop Skip Drive care driver. Just text STUDENT to 323232 to get started right now. Hop Skip Drive gives you the flexibility to set your own schedule and earn competitive pay. It's simple. Drive in your free time and make a real difference for students right in your neighborhood. Don't wait. Text STUDENT to 323232 right now. Text STUDENT to 323232 and start earning up to $50 per ride during Hop Skip Drive's welcome promotion period. That's STUDENT to 323232. Text STUDENT to 323232 now.
Tune in to Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, Wednesdays at 9:15 to hear ESPN NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky break down Bo Nix and the Broncos every week during football season. Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan, DenverSports.com, and the Denver Sports app. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
All right, I want to get to the Avs and the Nuggets as we close the show on this Wednesday. First of all, I want to remind you that in honor of Veterans Day, Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan and Foundation Cadillac are giving a veteran a year of oil change service as a small thank you for their service. To nominate someone you know, head to denversports.com/veteran. That's denversports.com/veteran. And to all our nation's veterans, we at Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan, thank you for your service. Very cool giveaway there. Something just happened in the NHL in the last 15 minutes or so. Alex Ovechkin became the first ever player to score 900 goals. We remember last year when he passed the great one, Wayne Gretzky. 900 goals, Dante. The logical question, I mean, first of all, Ovi, congrats. That's insane. Does he play long enough to shoot for 1,000 goals?
Oof, that's a great question. What's typical for like how many goals did Nathan McKinnon score? I'm a little newer to hockey, so I'm not as good at the like the season long totals of these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think 40 goals in a year is a monster year.
Okay, then I don't know about 1,000 feels like a lot unless we're talking about he probably shouldn't be playing in like a real rotation on one of the lines, but he's
still scoring.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's also performing pretty well here. They went to the playoffs last year with him as I don't want to say the main contributor, but a contributor to the team here. So maybe I think it'd be very cool to see. I don't know what's something you think you've done around 900 times. Too? That came into my.
That's a good
here.
question. 900 times in your life. I certainly haven't scored 900 NHL goals. That's for sure. And you think you've eaten 900 hot dogs in your life?
Oh, that maybe.
It's probably in the ballpark, right? I mean, you've been on this earth 20-something years. Do some quick math on that. That's 40 hot dogs a year. Do you eat 40 hot dogs a year? I don't know. But congrats to Ovi. That is impressive. Real quick, Nathan McKinnon scored over 40 goals 3 times in his career. 41 one season, 42 another season, and then 51 in the 23-24 season. So, yeah, Ovi would have to play at a really high level for at least 3 more years, 30-plus, to get to the 1,000 goals. Speaking of hockey, Avalanche Lightning last night. Victor Olofsson gets a couple of goals. Scott Wedgwood, super solid. Tampa Bay with a furious third-period rally. Avs hold it off, win 3-2. I thought that was a sneaky big win for them. That's their only game this entire week. They played last Saturday. They don't play again until next Saturday. Going to get some practices in, hopefully get Mackenzie Blackwood on the up and up, but last night at Ball Arena was fun, and I was glad to see the Avalanche get the 2 points when points weren't really available this week just based on the schedule makers.
Yeah, I think it was great for that. I think it was great that we saw not just the top dogs doing all the scoring as well. I think it showed, that this team does have depth, which it feels like we all knew that, but it hadn't really been showing up, in the box scores at least. So I think that was important. And then, they were on a little run here the last couple of weeks of, going to overtime, maybe just getting one of the points instead of both points. So I think it was huge to get both points, and then got a big matchup against Edmonton coming up. Edmonton's, represented the West the last 2 years in the Stanley Cup Finals. So kind of a little gut check here against Edmonton.
Yeah, and the Avalanche, of course, did play the Oilers when they won the Cup, and they swept them, and we were all hoping and craving for that series the last couple of years, right? Like, can we get Avs-Oilers in the Western Conference Final? And unfortunately, they've come up short to Dallas twice, so we haven't got to see it. But you're right. Anytime you're playing a team that's represented the West in the final the last couple of years, be good to see if the Avalanche can go up there and get a couple points. Then they'll head to Vancouver before a nice little homestand at Ball Arena. And speaking of Ball Arena, Nuggets in Heat about 20 minutes away from tip. I'll ask you the same question I asked Cello last night about the Lightning. Nuggets in Heat, does it bring back memories of, that's the team we beat to win the title, or has that kind of run its course now that it's been a couple of seasons?
To me, it's run its course a little bit too, and the Heat were such an unlikely team to be the opponent coming from the Eastern Conference that year that I remember like the Nuggets-Lakers series better. I remember the Nuggets-Suns in the second round better than the Nuggets-Heat series. I think the Lightning against the Avs makes a little more sense to me in terms of the Lightning were in the Stanley Cup Finals multiple times within, the 5-year window before that. So they were there a lot. They're more freshly in your mind when you're thinking about Stanley Cup Finals hockey, just in general. So the Heat, it was kind of a weird year, kind of a lucky year that they even got to the finals. I kind of forget that they were even the other team represented.
Yeah, I mean, the most memorable series, to your point, was definitely Nuggets-Lakers. I mean, he's sweeping LeBron James. Come on. In his building, never forget that. That was insanely special. But beating the Heat was obviously awesome, winning the first ever title. But I tend to go with you. I'm not walking into Ball Arena good tonight going, it's the team we beat to win the title. It just doesn't have that luster. That being said, Nuggets are 4-2. Got a nice little homestand here. Anything in particular you're watching for this evening?
I'm looking to see if Cam Johnson can get it going. I was saying this during the drive, but hey, if I'm the coaching staff of the Nuggets or I'm Nikola Jokic, I'm telling Cam Johnson, hey, we want 15 shots from you. We want 8 threes from you tonight. Not in terms of making 8 threes, but we want you to put up 8 of them. Like, I don't want him second guessing his shots, being aggressive. I want him to go out there and just play within the natural system of the offense. And I think to do that, maybe being a little ultra aggressive can kind of help him get back to the mean there.
All right, we'll be watching Cam Johnson and certainly watching the Nuggets. For Dante, I'm Will. It's DST on the Fan.
Will the Broncos avoid the trap game and earn their first divisional win of the season? Will Bo Nix and Evan Ingram finally get on the same page? We'll break it all down in the Fan Football Postgame Show, live on game day starting at the 2-minute warning. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Zach here. The holidays will be here before you know it, and for many families, that means excitement, but also stress. Between gifts, travel, and higher prices, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, especially if you're already